And then I walked with Diana to the elevator and I showed her the beautiful apartment I set up for her and I said it's Greek and Roman architecture, I hope you like it. And then Diana said, please keep that foul woman away from me and my children, I don't want her near me. And I said I understand, and she said, how on earth do you love her? And I said, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, Diana, she's innocent like a child sort of. And she said, that woman is insane, Bruce, I think she's mentally unstable. And I said, no, she's fine mentally, nothing is wrong with her mentally. And I said, here's my clone, I will leave you now, come to me or my clones if you need anything, and my clones can create anything you need with our magic. And she said, thank you. And I said, my clones can also create things like money and diapers, just so you know they are very useful and they are just like me in every way that matters, so do whatever you wish, I will see you soon. And then I went to tell Harley Quinn the good news and I said, Harley Quinn baby, I have good news darling. And she asked, what is it, Puddin'? We can now all get married. And then me, Dukra Harley, Lady Shiva, Wonder Woman, Carolyn, Raven, Talia al Ghul and Nissa al Ghul, they all went with me to start planning and getting married in a polygamous marriage. And then after a week of planning everything and inviting all my friends and family and all of our business friends and employees decided to show up for me and my father. And then Martha and Thomas Wayne both lived to see me marry many beautifuful women and they both cried, and Slade Wilson showed up along with all the Suicide Squad members. And then I saw Carmen Falcone and I said, hi Carmen Falcone, it's nice to meet you, we should talk business soon. And Carmen Falcone said, Bruce, it's nice to finally meet you, I've heard nothing but good things about you, Bruce. And I said, thanks. And I said, maybe we can be partners soon, you should come to one of our continental hotels because I believe you might like it. And he said, we will discuss things. And I said, good, see you soon. And then I thought about Selena Kyle and I said to myself, soon Selena Kyle, we will be together too. And then I thought about Poison Ivy and I said, I wonder what she looks like in this universe. And then Thomas Wayne walked up and said, Carmen Falcone, it's been a while. And then Carmen Falcone said, it's official Thomas, you're an old man now and we have both outlived our time, old friend. And Thomas said, yes, I suppose so. And Carmen Falcone said, you're looking good for an older man though. And Thomas said, that's just the money I guess. And Carmen Falcone looked at Thomas suspiciously and he said, right. And Carmen Falcone said, I would like to introduce Bruce Wayne to one of my daughters very soon. And then I was surprised to hear that and I said, what's your daughter's name, Carmen Falcone? And he said, her name is Selena Kyle. And I said, interesting, I definitely want to meet her very soon, Carmen, I'm interested in your daughter. And then it dawned on me, apparently in this timeline Carmen Falcone didn't kill his illegitimate children, instead he kept them around for situations like this though. And in his case this time he's in luck because now I will definitely marry his daughter and fall in love with her, because in every timeline Batman always falls in love with Selena Kyle and I'm no exception to this and I know it. And then I looked into Carmine's memories and I saw that he has all of his other women staying in a nice apartment building and he takes care of them with his resources, and I am reading his mind and he's thinking about marrying all of them very soon due to polygamous marriage being legal in the United States now. And then I smirked when I thought about making arranged marriages for singles people legal and making homosexual marriage illegal, and I could also legalize marijuana in the United States. And I smirked when I thought about this and I said, well, I might not do all that, but the mandatory arranged marriages for singles, it's not so bad when you stop to think about it, because no one else will ever be alone in the United States again, and that's the way it should have been from the beginning, because think about it, the birth rate would skyrocket and everyone would strive to become the best version of themselves because they wouldn't have much of a choice, and even homosexual people might have to become straight to be in arranged marriage, and it would decrease the need for homosexual relationships because people won't be alone anymore or mentally disturbed. And then I decided to make a wish to Shenron, and I did this in a forest, and I said, come forth mighty dragon Shenron. And then he said, master, please speak your wish. And I said, I would like to make arranged heterosexual marriages mandatory and legal in the United States. And he said, your wish is granted. And I said, that will be all, see you later Shenron. And he said, farewell. And I smiled and I said, I might have saved a lot of lonely good men.